In today's video, I'm excited to provide an update on Upexi Inc., a stock we can find on the NASDAQ under UPXI. And this one's interesting because it is now right here on support. If we look to our 50 weekly moving average, which is the blue line, we can see that here at 5.44. So what the stock has been able to do is to announce a change of business, right, all the way up. And now we can note that we're all the way back down here to support. This is normally where people should be looking to buy if they're investors. What gets us really curious is that the market cap is not that big, roughly $283 million. If we look back to their press releases, this is where we remember that on July 28th, they announced a $500 million equity line in agreement with AGP to accelerate the growth of their Solana Treasury. And now they're over 2 million. So they got room to add here. So what this basically means is that if we understand the chart is on support and we go over to the asset they're trying to leverage, it's right on support too. This is Solana. So what do we have here? Massive cup and a handle. And it's now right back here to support. I want to show you a few quick things now, because if this company is leveraging Solana, what's probably important for us to understand is Solana. We're also going to go back through and look at their deck in a little bit more detail. But like I mentioned at the outset, this is Upexi Inc. You can find them under UPXI on the NASDAQ. And the stock is now back down to its 50 weekly moving average, just like Solana. So if now for a moment we ask ourselves, what is the leader doing? Well, that's Bitcoin. Remember, leaders lead and followers follow. After we crash land on the 50 MA, what happened to Bitcoin? Well, it rallied. And if it was to come back down now, we can extrapolate that out by projecting the future. We can note that what used to be resistance should now actually act as support. So Bitcoin's actually looking pretty good here, and it's exhibiting that exact same thing I'm pointing out on Solana. Also, if we look here, as we're trying to go back up to all-time highs or to new all-time highs, notably over here, what happens? We hit it, we back off, and then we go higher. So the only thing that's for sure is that nothing is for sure. But as we look here, big old cup of Joe, that's why they call it a cup and handle. What do we have right here? That's the part where your coffee goes. So cup and handle pattern. Let's see what it shows us here. So the cup and handle pattern, which did work out. I think we looked at this one a week ago. So if now we look to a different one, what does this show? It's not always perfect. So you have to be mindful of what to look for. We're looking for consolidation with a double top, the handle which forms a triple top, and then the breakout point. Cool. This is what it can look like if it's in a textbook. You can see it goes very predictably. It's very symmetrical. And then we get a measured move. That's a price projection, price objective, right? Measured move. It's a price target, or TP, right? They call that target price. If you follow people online, that's what they talk about. So if we go here to Bitcoin, what was really curious is that if we now take a rectangle, we're going to go from the high down to the low, and that would give us the measured move. So we're going from, in this case here on Bitcoin, we're going from the high down to the low, and that basically gives us our measured move. So this is a technical analysis pattern. Go from the top all the way down to the bottom, and that projects. So you copy and paste. That tells you how high it could actually go. In this example here, we're going to remove the arrows, we're going to copy the box, and we're going to go paste. So the length of the cup and handle is now actually projected, and that is where we're actually resting on right now. It's right at the upper end. So if we were to draw an arrow from the low to the high and then copy and paste it, that same thing would happen here. That's the measured move. That's what they're demonstrating in this pattern here. So if the leaders lead, are the followers trying to follow? Well, the second biggest crypto, at least the last time I checked, was still Ether. So Ether is older, maybe a little bit more obsolete than Solana, but it's still the second biggest dog. What does it have? It's breaking through resistance. You can see that right here. So we can note that we've now actually made it through the highs we established into March, made it through the highs we established here into December, and now we're actually higher. So again, leaders lead and followers follow. So what I'm looking for here, if we zoom out one more time, is for Ethereum to potentially rally all the way up to its previous all-time high and then actually backtest it and pass. So if we believe in Solana now, let's go down to the third biggest dog, because that's what Solana is. And remember, Upexi is the largest treasury, I believe. Again, I'll have to double check that. But they are the largest treasury for Solana in a public company. Okay, so if we like Bitcoin and we like Ethereum and we also like Solana, does this one look any different? It basically looks the same as Ether. It actually went to a new all-time high first, though. So what this actually means is that people were more bullish on Solana back in January. Why? I think, again, I'm just one person. I'm just making the YouTube video. I think there's actually better improvement in terms of speed and actual transactions, which is why back to here into, what is this, February and January right here, Ether did rally, but it went to a lower low after, and now it's snapping back. There's a lot of love from Tom Lee over to Ether right now too. So again, if we extrapolate this out back here to Solana, this should mean that if there was appetite before, there should be appetite again. So that cup and handle should pass, and then we should go higher. The measured move, like I did last time, it's crazy. This is going to be us extrapolating the pattern that we did on Bitcoin to see what could happen here as a price objective again, or as a potential price target. Please remember that nothing in life is a guarantee. And I would encourage you to read the full description and disclaimer, which you can find below. So if we do the measured move, and again, what we're trying to do here is to replicate the technical analysis pattern from the from the handle all the way down. This is from the top all the way down to the bottom. Let's do the measured move like we just did on Bitcoin. Let's grab a box here. Let's go to a rectangle. We're going to go from our high down to the low, which is basically down to 0. So that's why I said this sounds crazy last time. Volume also really came in, and then it went up. Ironically, the same thing we're seeing on Upexi. Copy, paste. And now we're going to have to actually blow the chart up so we can go higher. And then if this was correct, again, we'll do the same thing here. We'll do an arrow. Well, then the arrow could potentially go all the way up into here if we track the pattern, which means that Solana could potentially go to 500. That would be a very big move. Remember, if we look at the size of these different coins too, Bitcoin is harder to move because the asset class is just so big now. Ether is harder to move than Solana. Solana would be easier to move because it is smaller. So if now we go back in time, when we go back to when the company actually had a change of business, incorporating now, remember, they have an underlying business, which is pretty good. So they were at roughly $4 to start the year out. They went up to a high of roughly 13. And now they're settling here at roughly 5.6. So this does look fairly good. It looks like the chart is trying to form a base. So if now we go back here to UPXI, remember, there's a lot of interest on charts that have volume. So if we look here, every time the chart has had massive volume, what happened? It went up. It's forming a base here. So try to go up once, try to go up twice. It's probably going to try to go up a third time if I was to guess. And the reason why is because when we look here to our weekly chart, we're now on support. What's happening here is not what's happening with Solana. So if the underlying asset is truly what the business is being valued on, then what we have to look at here is the fact that we have, again, a very big move higher. But since then, we have lower highs and higher lows. It's still a pennant, but it looks very different than the actual asset that it owns, right? Solana, what do we have here? We have higher lows and we have higher highs, bouncing off the 200 MA and actually making progress higher. So if there was a change of business and we're now going to actually be tracking what Solana is doing, this is where, if we continue the pattern here, higher lows, higher highs on support, it should eventually make that test to the all-time high and potentially go even higher, like we did in the example with Bitcoin, which could play through over to Solana and then over to the stock. All right, so we understand that there's been a huge equity line drawn here. Offered, right? So they've not drawn it yet. I would have to assume that the market cap being 283, they've not drawn the full amount. But I have to go through and get confirmation on that. They're going to participate in a fireside chat on August 12th, which is going to be tomorrow. And the conference is going to be from 12th to 14th. That is nice. And then finally here, if we have a quick look through their deck, remembering this company is Upexi Inc. And if we go through their deck very briefly, they have an existing business, which looked pretty good before. Going into here, their overview, a customer brand owner. So what do they own? Lucky Tail, Cure Mushrooms, and Prax. So this is a brand owner specializing in the development, manufacturing, and distribution of consumer products, leveraging proprietary data, technology platform, and logistics expertise to accelerate growth, reduce costs, and publicly listed NASDAQ stock, generating $15 to $20 million in annual revenue with 20% through Amazon. So the rest is going to be, I would guess, direct to consumer or direct to retail. If we look at their expanding into a Solana Treasury on February 6th through to today, again, remembering that that is when the stock got a re-rating, but also getting a $500 million equity line also means their company is worth more. They have a business which generates revenue, and they have the added benefit of also being a Treasury now. So now they began staking as of May 6th. And then on May 12th, they began their purchases, right? They announced 44 million. They've now disclosed more. And the benefit here is that they're going to be dollar cost averaging. And it's a leverage play on Solana, like we talked about before. There's also a pretty good management team here. We talked about how these are the founders of multi-billion-dollar companies, 30 plus years in M&A focused experience. He's the founder of XPO Logistics. Again, another really big company, $14 billion. So he has public markets experience, founders experience, and multi-billion-dollar executive experience. Andrew was the CFO, and he was also there at XPO Logistics. So it looks like they are keeping their team together. Brian Ruddick looks like he's pretty qualified too. Former head of crypto over at GSR and long-term hedge fund analyst at Citadel, Millennium. Their board of directors is pretty strong too. They have Thomas William, Lawrence H. Dugan, and Jane Salkind as their board of directors. Each one of these look like they have a lot of experience here. All right. The Solana Treasury strategy, as you can see, this is a popular strategy used by companies including MicroStrategy, Strive, Similar, MetaPlanet, Mara, and Thumbs Up. And I think that's 21. What happens? Well, if the digital asset rises, you get triple action. The Treasury company stock rises with the asset. The book to premium value expands, and more capital issuance increases accretion. What does that mean? It's good for investors. If everything goes according to plan, then we can do good. MicroStrategy is the leader, and since then, there's been a lot of improvement. Look at this, MSTR stock performance from August 2020 through to this deck presentation here in the summer of 2020. Not bad. It has massively outperformed, and that is why there is a lot of interest in the sector. It's because it works, and people want to copy the model for other assets. And as far as I know, Upexi is the most pure play and the largest treasury they're able to get, right? The 2-in-1 combo was hard to find. Their strategy is pretty simple too. They're going to provide crypto exposure in a familiar equity security, which means you can go onto the big board, which means you can go here to the NASDAQ, type in UPXI, and you can buy the stock. A lot easier. And if you use a discount broker like Robinhood or others, you don't have to pay commission when you buy these. Some brokers do charge commission for crypto. They don't usually charge commission for buying individual securities. So it provides a capitalization on crypto's secular expansion and Solana as an end game winner. Solana appears like it is much better at transactions than Ethereum. So it could be very well positioned here. And then they have dual components, including maximizing external visibility and issue capital intelligently. So they want to be methodical and strategic with everything they do. Equity issuance demonstrated expertise with recent $100 million pipe. There we go. And now that's been expanded to $100 million. So they're raising $100 million to buy Solana. That was in April. Now they've upped the ante. They've also had a strategy, including public professionalism, coming to the cryptosphere, and go big and fast. So by going to that Canaccord event in the fireside chat, there's likely going to be some attention on the stock. So they have a capital markets flywheel. Like I mentioned, they've managed multi-billion-dollar companies before. This is how MSTR increased their BTC per share by 74% and created a $13 billion Bitcoin gain in 2024. Oh my goodness. So this company could see some very big upside. And extrapolating that out here, you can see that MicroStrategy had a 2x. We can note that embedded premium for smaller companies, MetaPlanet, had a 7x for a current premium versus their market cap and value to digital assets. And then the Sol strategies is up here to a 5x. That would be embedded premium moving off of BTC. All right. So at a high level there, we know why we like crypto. We know why we like Solana. It is the best performance. So until these things get to very mass production, there's nothing that is for sure, right? Any one of these could be the winner. Solana is best positioned though. And this is where, if you're looking for a way to get exposure to crypto and specifically Solana, there is a way to, like they mentioned, in the familiar equity or the wrapper of buying UPXI over on the NASDAQ, that can give you exposure to the stock. And now for the audience, thank you for watching all the way until the end. I want to ask you to please read the description for full disclosure details, including that this video was sponsored on behalf of Upexi. And with that said, I thank you very much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.